brains. Oh, hi. You're not going to want to miss today's episode. I'm your host, Zombie Bill Overbeck, and this is my co-host. I'm too cheap to dress up for October Rupture. Hey, no one told me to dress up. Today is part 2 of our 4-part series on Survivor Perks A to Z. That's right. We'll be picking back up where we ended last week, starting off with Dance With Me. But first, we have a special announcement about the new Survivor and new perks. Don't forget to click that like, subscribe, and bell buttons. Also comment on any perks that you thought we got wrong, or anything else you like about the perks that we discuss. Bill, you don't look so good. In fact, you look like a zombie. Brains! Brains! Oh no. Just kidding. It's just a flesh wound. I'll be fine. Don't we have some new perks to talk about? Oh yeah, the Boon Totems. We have a new survivor being added to the DBD roster, the witch, Michaela Reed. With her comes new Boon perks. That's right, Bill. Michaela has 2 Boon perks. Would you care to explain them? You know, since you're a Booner. A Booner? I think you mean a Boomer. Ah, Boomer, where? Oh, crap, flashback to my Left 4 Dead days. Calm down. No Boomers here besides you. I'll explain. A Boon perk is a perk that starts out inactive. The survivors must find a totem and spend 14 seconds blessing the totem. Once blessed, the totem becomes a Boon totem and glows blue and emits a chime. Survivors can see the aura anywhere on the map. Currently, the 2 Boon perks have a 28-meter radius. If you're inside that radius, you get the benefit of the perk until the killer snuffs out the totem. Let's take a look at the first Boon perk, Circle of Healing. Circle of Healing grants any survivor within 28 meters a gain of 100% healing speed. Additionally, they can heal without a medkit. A survivor can only bless 1 totem at a time, but any and all Boon perks are active around that single blessed totem. Wow, that perk sounds like self-care and will make it had a baby. Pretty insane. That's right. 28 meters is a large range, and having a blessed totem in a safe area of the map means the killer would have to leave his 3-gen to prevent those heals. Boon Totems could help win the war of attrition when killers are guarding the 3-gen, assuming there are 3 or 4 survivors left. The next Boon perk is Shadow Step. Shadow Step gives any survivor within 28 meters no scratch marks or auras, and the effect lingers for 4 seconds after leaving the Boon Totem's range. Surely this mechanic is going to be nerfed in some aspect. It seems like a very strong setup to have a safe healing area. Agreed, Bill. I think something will change to some aspects of these new Boon perks, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes live like this and is changed at a later date. We will not be ranking these new perks, but we did want to shed some light on them. We still have to get through 24 other perks we've committed to rank today. Right, let's look at last week's board. Check the description for a link to the first episode in this series if you need a recap or missed it. We are going to be wiping the slate clean, and starting with our first perk, Dance With Me. Dance With Me hides your scratch marks for 3 seconds when performing a rushed action, such as vaulting a window or leaving a locker. It does have a cooldown of 40 seconds. Dance With Me on its own is pretty trash, and because of that, I am rating this an E-tier perk. I can agree with that. Dance With Me pairs well with several other perks like Quick and Quiet, Lithe, and Head On are some of those perks. Let's get it on the board at E-tier. Okay, Rupture. Next up is Dark Sense. Dark Sense is an aura reading perk. Each time a generator is completed, you see the killer's aura for 5 seconds, except the last generator, which shows you the killer's aura for an entire 10 seconds. I like this perk when doing All-Seeing Bill. Dark Sense, Deja Vu, Kindred, and Object of Obsession. Good stuff. This perk does give some valuable information when finishing a generator. But how many aura reading perks do you really need, Bill? All of them. Sure, for a meme build. Actually, All-Seeing Build, all the eye perks, is pretty fun. However, this perk on its own, compared to other aura reading perks, such as Alert or Kindred, give you much better value, and give you information at more critical times. Because of this, Dark Sense gets D tier. Okay, D tier it is. Your turn, Bill. Guess what perk is up now? Dead Hard. Can anyone say exhausted on the ground? E for outplay, Dead Hard for distance. Dead Hard is a perk that can only be used if you are injured. While running, you can activate it, which gives you a small dash forward and makes you immune to damage. Dead Hard gives you exhaustion for 40 seconds, meaning you can't use it or any other exhaustion perks during that time. Killers really hate this perk, don't they? Oh yeah, we used to run this perk all the time, remember? Yep, but games became pretty unfun when you'd have all the gens done and the killer would only have 2 or 3 hooks. Dead Hard is most effective when using it for distance versus using it to make the killer miss a hit. Its ability to extend chases is next to none other. This is an S tier perk. You'll almost never see a game without this perk. A lot of killers claim they run gen slowdowns because of it. Yet, survivors run it because of gen slowdowns. It's a vicious cycle. Consider dropping Dead Hard and giving yourself a challenge and breaking that cycle of exhaustion versus gen speed. This perk needs no pairing, but visual may help since you'll recover from exhaustion quicker, so you can dab again. Okay, let's get it on the board. Our first S tier perk. Oh, this perk is our personal favorite, isn't it? We have Deception up next. Oh, and it's my turn. Deception is a perk that lets you fake fast vault into a locker. Instead of getting in, you slam the doors and leave no scratch marks for the next 3 seconds. You have a cooldown of 40 seconds. How many deceptions have we done to make a killer check an empty locker? Oh man, nearly 500 or so. Deception itself is tough to use, but it is doable. If you have distance, you can drop line of sight from the killer, it works. However, pairing Deception with Quick and Quiet and Head On leads to some very interesting gameplay. Check out some of our Now That's What I Call Deception videos, links in the description. What about the rating? Oh yeah, Deception is definitely an S tier perk. Very surprising not to see more people using it. Not everyone can be S tier like us, brains. Us? Did you call me S tier? Nope, I said me. Let's get Deception on the board. Two S tier perks in a row. Okay, Bill, you're up with Decisive Strike. Decisive Strike, or DS as I will call it, is a perk that is designed for anti-tunneling. It only punishes killers that try to hook the same survivor within 60 seconds of him being unhooked. When you get unhooked, DS activates for 60 seconds. If you heal yourself, another survivor, unhook, sabo a hook, cleanse a totem, or repair gens, it deactivates DS. If a killer picks you up while you are active, you get a skill check. If you hit the skill check, you escape the killer's grasp, and the killer is stunned for 5 seconds. DS is a perk that shouldn't be needed. I rate this an A tier perk, maybe higher for people in lower MMR. It is true, I've never ran DS as a perk and rarely run into killers that tunnel, and I even use TTV in my name. Good for you. This perk pairs well with Unbreakable and Deliverance. Let's get it on the board at A tier. Next up is Deja Vu. Real funny, Bill. Thanks. Okay, Deja Vu is an aura perk that basically helps you see the closest 3 generators so you can help avoid being 3-gened, a common killer tactic to protect their 3 closest generators. This perk is active for 60 seconds at the start of the trial. It also activates each time a generator is repaired. I rate this a C tier perk. It doesn't get a lot of use. Right, but knowing the smallest 3-gen and eliminating it at the start of a game could be crucial. It's a perk that you see value every single game. Deja Vu can pair well with Prove Thyself and Better Together, if your gen jockey is your thing. Also bring a map to save the gen locations to see them after the 60 seconds expire. My thoughts are the same. A perk that always gives value. On the board at C tier. Okay, Deliverance up next. Deliverance lets you unhook yourself with 100% chance. However, there is a catch. You have to unhook a teammate first to activate the perk. This means if you are caught and hooked first before you unhook someone, the perk becomes useless. This perk is paired well with Decisive Strike and Unbreakable. Another problem with the perk is after unhooking yourself, you are broken for 60 seconds. This happens to be the exact timing that Decisive Strike is active for. This gives a killer a built-in timer knowing exactly when they can pick you up. Taking all this into consideration, I rate this perk D tier. I agree. It's kind of lower middle tier perk. You really have to play less efficiently at the start to guarantee value from the perk. Up next, we have Desperate Measures. Desperate Measures is a healing perk. It increases your healing speed by 14% for each injured, hooked, or dying survivor, up to a maximum of 56% if all 4 survivors are injured. That's it? Just injured survivors to get the bonus? Yep, it's a solid perk. You're bound to get value out of it every game. Because it's a healing perk and you can easily get value out of it, I rank this a B tier perk. Consider pairing this with Botany Knowledge and teammates with Leader, or the new Boon Circle of Healing for insanely fast heals. Okay, Desperate Measures on the board, B tier. Looks like we have Detective's Hunch on deck. Detective's Hunch is an aura perk. Anytime the generator is completed, you see the auras of any generator's chest and totems within 64 meters for 10 seconds. If you have a map, the auras are saved and you can read the map to see them again. Sounds like a good perk, especially with the map. With the current killer meta revolving around Ruin and Dying and the additional hex perks that have been added recently, the odds of running into a killer with hex perks are very high. This perk is bound to get you value almost every game. Consider running Inner Strength and bringing that map. To maximize value, you may want to bring a boon perk to use to clear a hex totem, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. What tier do you think this perk is? Again, with the current meta, this is easily a B tier perk. Coupled with other perks and the map, you may even place it at A tier, but we'll go with B today. Okay, Detective's Hunch going on the board at B tier. Next up is Distortion. Tell us about it, Rup. Distortion is an anti-aura perk. It starts with 3 tokens. Whenever a killer attempts to read your aura, Distortion consumes a token and prevents your aura from being seen by the killer for 10 seconds. You also do not leave any scratch marks for those 10 seconds. Distortion denies the killer information, but at what cost? So if you have Distortion and the survivor is hooked and you are far away and the token is consumed, you can assume the killer is using barbecue, for example. Correct, but without that information, the killer may be going after another survivor that could be dead on hook. This perk is good if you don't like being chased. I put this perk at E tier. To the bottom. Diversion, aka Pebble, is on the block. Tell us about it, Bill. Pebble we'll call it because diversion just sounds dumb. Pebble starts to charge up whenever you are in the killer's terror radius, but not in chase. It takes 30 seconds to charge up. Once charged, you have to crouch down and while not moving, press your active ability button. Do note that the Pebble throwing animation is just for looks. There's no actual object flying through the air. There is no collision. Once you throw the Pebble, a sound notification and scratch marks are created 20 meters away from you in the direction you are facing. Pebble is an S tier perk for sure. Stealth killers and tier 1 Myers can counter Pebble. But Pebble is super strong. It's wasted countless minutes of killer's time and has made me able to escape and save other survivors countless times. Consider running Deception head on, quick and quiet for quite the distraction build. Agreed. Pebble is the best perk in the game, hands down. Let's get it on the board at S tier. Next up is Empathy. Empathy is an aura perk that lets you see the aura of injured or dying survivors within 128 meters of you. Basically the whole map. This gives you tons of information, being able to see the person being chased, for instance. Or see someone that is safe and needs heals. Indeed, Empathy is one of the best aura perks. Consider running Desperate Measures and Botany for fast healing. Because of the guaranteed information you'll gain each game, I rate this an A tier perk. Let's get it on the board. We've made it to the halfway mark for the perks this episode. Let's take a break and look at our play of the week. Sure, let's take a look at the play of the week. Why can't I can't open the gate? Oh yeah, because we have 2 gens left. I'm such a dumbass. Wait a minute. I was on vacation. I had one too many Mai Tais, clearly. Let's get back to the perks, and we're gonna have a chat after the cameras are off. Oh boy. Let's take a look at our board really quick. We just placed Empathy on the board. What perk are we looking at next? Next up is Fast Track. Fast Track is a gen perk that gains tokens every time a survivor is hooked, up to 27 tokens. When you hit a great skill check on a generator, it consumes all tokens. Each token is worth 1% of a generator. Sounds bad. Oh, it is. Numbers sound good on paper, but in reality, the perk is garbage. Sure, you may get value every game, but if you're gonna take a gen perk, grab Prove Thyself or bring a toolbox. E tier for Fast Track. Fixated is on deck, now called self-aware. Take it away, Ruppy boy. I'm a man, Bill. Are you? Fixated, excuse me, self-aware is a movement perk. It allows you to walk 20% faster and you can see your own scratch marks. It pairs well with sprint burst. It allows you to keep moving slightly faster while regaining your exhaustion. I don't think it's too valuable of a perk, but it may fit your build. I place this perk as D tier. I'll go with it, on the board at D tier. We have your personal favorite up next, Bill. Flashbang. Flashbang is a superb perk. I've been running Flashbang since my days in Left 4 Dead. This perk must be charged up by working on a generator. Once you've done 40 charges on a generator, which is 50% of it, you can craft your Flashbang. Do note that working co-op on a gen means the generator progress bar will have to move well past 50% since you're sharing the charges with a teammate. Correct. It's 50% of the progress bar on a solo gen, but with more people working on it, you don't get full credit for each charge. To craft your Flashbang, you must set down any item in your hand. Get in a locker and press your ability button. You cannot keep your Flashbang if you escape with it. What good is the Flashbang? Well, it works just like fireworks and party starters. You can use it to save a teammate that's being picked up by the killer. A well-placed one can even blind a killer mid-chase and give you that edge in escaping. Flashbang is an S tier perk. It saved my butt so many times against killers and zombies alike. Looks like you could have used a Flashbang. Don't remind me. Let's get that on the board. Next up is Flip Flop. Flip Flop is an interesting perk. It allows you to convert your recovery meter to wiggle progress at a rate of 50%. So if you're fully recovered, your wiggle bar will start just under 50%. Correct. And if you only recovered halfway, then your wiggle bar will start at 25%. This perk really isn't that great, and it does need other perks to be useful. Consider running Unbreakable and Tenacity. You want to crawl away from hooks and be recovering. I don't recommend the perk, but it's fun to try and use every now and then. This is an E tier perk though. But again, don't let that stop you from having some fun with it. Flip Flop on the board at E tier. For the People is up next. For the People is an insta-heal perk. It allows you to pick a survivor up off the ground instantly or heal them from injured to full. However, you must be uninjured to use it. You then become injured and the other survivor gains 1 health state. You also become broken for 60 seconds, which means you cannot heal during that time, and become the obsession once you use it. There are several perks that go well with this. Dead Hard is nice if you get chased after using it. You have a means of escape. Also Inner Strength so you can quickly heal after the 60 seconds. I rate this an E tier perk, but if you're a good runner and your teammates are not, you may benefit from running it to keep them alive and make yourself the bait. Okay, For the People, E tier. Head On is next, a crowd favorite over on your channel, eh, Rup? Yes, we do love some head-on plays. It is an exhaustion perk. It allows you to get into a locker, and after 3 seconds, if you fast-falled out and the killer's in front of the locker, it will stun the killer for 3 seconds. Sounds like a fun meme perk. Oh, it is. It is the best. I like to run this perk with Quick and Quiet, which allows you to get into the locker fast and not make noise. Also, this perk pairs well with Deception. We all know I like to give the killers locker PTSD. It is fun to stun them. A Swift with comms can be outright bullies with this perk. It does pay to know your locker spawns with this perk. I rate this an S tier perk because of the huge amounts of joy it will bring you. Joy indeed. Let's keep this ball rolling. Hope is up next. Hope is an endgame movement speed perk. It only becomes active when the last gen is completed or the hatch is closed. It gives you a 7% speed boost. If you are being chased, this perk can help you out, but if you're not being chased, it isn't much use. Sounds hard to get real value from this perk. It can be fun to run, especially if the killer does not have NOED. If the killer does, they also have a 7% speed boost. Since they're already faster than survivors, their 7% is still greater than what your 7% is. so it doesn't completely offset NOED. If you have some blight serums, you can take a medkit for some real zoom-in and activate it while hope is active. Still, given the limited value of this perk, I rate this a D tier perk. Try to make sure you get chased at the end since you have a bigger advantage over your teammates. It's up to you to get value from the perk. I kind of feel this is E tier, but I'll allow it at D. Because you know what's good for you. Inner Strength is up next, or its new name, Inner Healing. This perk is now a general perk and allows you to cleanse any totem to activate the perk. Once activated, you can enter a locker, wait for 8 seconds, and you will heal yourself. So at most, this perk can be used 5 times in one match. Yes, there are 5 totems on the map. However, with the new Boon Circle of Healing, this perk becomes almost obsolete. Sure, you can get an 8-second heal instead of 16 seconds, but it's limited use. Circle of Healing can, if unchanged, be used all game and also blocks auras. I agree. I think Circle of Healing will be stronger, but this is still a good perk, right? Yes, this is a solid perk that tackles 2 things at once, getting a potential NOED totem off the map and healing yourself. Both good things, but how can you gen if you do totems and heal in lockers? Stop saying gen or we're gonna lose our sponsors. Okay, no more gen. I'm placing Inner Healing at C tier. Next up, we have Iron Will, or as Bill calls it, Iron Lung. Very funny. Iron Will is an audio perk that works while you are injured. Instead of whining like a little namby-pamby, you remain completely silent. Heck, you don't even breathe. Iron Will recently received an indirect buff when Strider was nerfed because DBD math was always wrong, and they finally fixed it. However, I do think Iron Will is too strong, and survivors should still breathe with this perk while injured. In its current state, where you remain completely silent, this is an S tier perk. It allows survivors to mind game killers at tiles, and even allows the whole W strategy while the killer mind games themselves. This perk fits in any build and doesn't need any complementary perks. You'll get value every game with this perk as well. I agree. This is an S tier perk. Use it to gain advantages in chases, not to avoid chases altogether, unless you're on Death Hook. Next up is Kindred. Kindred is another aura perk. This perk works in 2 ways. If you have the perk and you are on the hook, all of your teammates can see each other, and if the killer is within 16 meters of the hook, they can also see the killer aura. The second effect is when someone else is on the hook. You can see all your teammates and see the killer if they are within 16 meters of the hook, but your teammates do not get the benefits in this case. Pretty strong being able to see what direction the killer left the hook. Indeed, this perk gives valuable info. It's so valuable if you're solo queued, so you know what people are doing while someone is hooked. This perk pairs well with open-handed, which increases the aura reading by 16 meters, allowing you to track the killer 32 meters from the hook. Them's a lot of meters. Kindred gets our nod at an A tier perk. I would say S tier for solo queue play, but we'll put it on the board at A tier as an all-around ranking. A tier it is. Let's go. Up next is Leader. Leader is a Supervisor Bill staple. If you've not seen Supervisor Bill in action, stop by Rupture's stream sometime, twitch.tv/Rupture, and get someone to request it. Thanks for the plug. Oh, no worries. Just make sure you stop by on a Saturday when I'm there. Don't bother with the other days. Wow. Leader is a perk that does not affect you at all. However, it does provide an effect for your teammates that are within 8 meters of you. You grant 25% extra speed when doing the following: healing, sabotaging, unhooking, cleansing totems, opening chests, or gates. Basically everything but repairing generators. Pretty much. Leader also lingers for 15 seconds after leaving the 8-meter radius. Leader also does not stack if more people are using the perk. While you may get value out of Leader every game, how noticeable is 25%? It also only applies to others on your team, not yourself. There are other perks out there for healing, cleansing, and unhooking, etc. This one gives all your teammates an all-around boost versus giving yourself a specific boost. True, but of the things most important, which are healing and repairing, this perk does not excel at. I give this perk a C tier rating. It's okay. You'll get value every game mostly, just not as noticeable as some other perks. Okay, Leader it is, C tier. Last perk for today's episode. This is a sleeper perk and one I know the value of all too well. It's my perk, Left Behind. Remember the sacrifice? I do. Left Behind is an aura perk that lets you see the aura of the hatch when you are within 32 meters of it. This perk only works if you are the last survivor. Starting with DBD 5.3, the hatch only spawns with one survivor left, so that will not change how this perk works at all. Correct. This perk is payback for the sacrifice. It gives you a chance to find the hatch if you can get near enough to it. If you have a key, you can even open the hatch after the killer closes it. After the next patch, a key will require some interaction time to open. Keep that in mind. This perk isn't going to give you much value very often. Wait, before you rate this, I believe we have a clip highlighting just how powerful this perk can be. Let's take a look. It should have been spawned, so I mean, hopefully I didn't, run past it somewhere. Oh, Left Behind for the win! Adaptable for the puggies. I forgot I could see the hatch. But Bill, a map can track the hatch too. True, with the right map or add-ons, but it will require you to get much closer than 32 meters to track the hatch, and since it won't spawn early after the next patch, the map is virtually useless for the hatch. Think hard before you rate this perk. I'm warning you. True about the map. Left Behind, as you saw in the clip, came in clutch. It's not a good perk in the slightest. E tier, I would say, but if we want to keep Bill happy and healthy, we better think about this. How about we settle on D tier? That seems a bit low. I was thinking S tier. I mean, you saw the clip. S tier? Are you out of your mind? I think that virus has gone to your brain. Fine. You win. We'll stick with S tier then. Have it your way. There, finally you see it my way. Okay, let's get Left Behind on the board at S tier. Wait a minute. I was fooled. That was supposed to be D tier, even E tier. Well, too late now. We have you on the record saying S tier. Ugh. Well, folks, that wraps up part 2 of our Survivor perk review. We just covered 24 more perks, from Dance With Me to Left Behind. We had our first set of S tier perks as well. If you missed the first episode, check the description for links to that episode. And stay tuned for next week when we bring you the next 24 Survivor perks, lightweight through self-care. I'm your host, Bill Overbeck. And I'm Rupture. Too cheap to dress for October. Signing off until next week when we'll cover the next 24 Survivor perks. See you next week.